Hi, so this is a Lucy Letby video and it's picking up on a couple of points in Jabe's latest video, which is entitled Lucy Letby Full Video, Dewey Evans on the Media, Still Digging That Hole, and it's a summary of interviews he's given. It's also got some experts weighing in, including the panel headed by Dr. Shulie. Now, I've picked up on a couple of points and I've actually commented on them because I think they're really pertinent. Okay, if I can disappear that a bit. So the first one, Dewey Evans is talking about it was when at the beginning of the investigation, when he was quote unquote called in to find out if Lucy Letby had been murdering babies, and he was going through the medical notes and that infamous rota chart. So right from the beginning I said, look, this is inflicted injury. We need to investigate this. Okay, so again, 5 minutes 46 seconds. Go back to that, listen carefully, because I repeat, we need to investigate this. He actually stops himself and corrects and uses, he says, he begins to say we can investigate this, stops, corrects himself, and then says we need to investigate this. So to all intents and purposes, that sounds very much as if they, everyone was looking for reasons to convict Lucy Letby in the first place. Now, there's an expert featured on this video who talks about differential diagnosis and how those were not used in this process, and he himself says, well, air embolism would be right at the bottom of that list. So I think Dewey Evans has slipped up there. I think he has told on himself. And I think there's a lot of people out there who feel that when they were combing for this evidence, combing through all the notes, they were looking for anything that would pass as possible murders if you could just about get away with it. If you could just about get away with showing or making this look like it was possible murders rather than ruling things out in an orderly fashion. That little slip up of wording, I think it would go under the radar for a lot of people. But anyway, go back to that point. It's 5.46. Listen carefully, you will hear it. And that is verbatim out of the horse's mouth, out of Dewey Evans' own mouth. The other point that is interesting is 1739, and this is Dr. Shulie when he's being interviewed, and he's saying, well, I would ask Dewey Evans 3 things. So he's talking about these three things he would ask, and he's talking about the second thing he would ask, and I've forgotten what that was, but you know, all the three things he would ask, it's there around that point. But at this particular point, he says of him, so was he just callous, or was it deliberate? And I've had some interesting replies to that comment, that the comment that I've posted about that statement from Dr. Shulie, and I want to clarify, he does say exactly what he said, so it's not careless, it is callous. So when he says, so was he just callous, or was it deliberate? And it seems to me, okay, this is just my opinion, that he's putting it nicely. If I were to paraphrase this, how I personally read it. So was he just being unempathetic? Did he, you know, just have a lack of empathy? Or was he actually doing this on purpose? Was he being sadistic? That is how I would read that little bit of phrase. So when he was, and I think it was when obviously Dewey Evans, he was going through all these notes to try and find murder. So in that process of doing it, was he just being completely callous? And not caring about the wider consequences of this? Or was it deliberate to get a fixed result? And remember, I've mentioned this in other videos, that paper on air embolism, that was sat in on one of the consultants' desks very early on. So I think very early on in 2015, that was sat on one of these consultants' desks and someone actually picked up on it. So yeah, my final point in all of this is because, and it is something I've mentioned, it is something everyone has noticed, with Dewey Evans' body language. You know, he's got this perpetual nasty smirk, and it could be his baseline because he has got, you know, quite a camp delivery. Okay, so that is a part of his general body language. But you kind of notice every time he's talking about, oh, I found a murder, and he smirks, or every time I'm right, he smirks. And I would love, you know, if there's any body language people out there, for them to kind of look at his body language here, because, you know, everyone's got their own set of facial expressions and what have you. So sometimes people do smile inappropriately at places, but there's something, this looks so far off the scale. This actually does look off, this does look like it's pointing to, you know, some sadism or something like that in there. So yeah, that is my video for today. So please like, subscribe, and hope to see you in the next video. What's the off switch?